Today I get absolutely covered in mud, I ride a new old trail, and I try out a new jacket. Welcome to the Forest of Dean, and welcome to Bike and Beyond. So today we'll be riding the new revamped, rerouted and re-energized Freeminer trail of the Forest of Dean. This is a classic and very popular trail that's had some major upgrades. But before I take to the trails, there's something I need to do first. Pretty chilly this morning, still loads of frost on the ground and on the trails and things. But first port of call, coffee. Oh yes, I couldn't think of a better way to start a ride. Also good for warming the hands, it's pretty chilly today. So whether you're a newcomer or if you're a seasoned visitor to the Forest of Dean, listen up, because the Freeminer trail has been massively updated. And I'm not just talking about a trail resurfacing, I mean huge sections have been cut out, added on, rerouted and revamped. Let me show you the trail. So the Freeminer is a 12km long red graded route with challenging single track climbs, routes, switchback corners, plus a mix of natural, technical and flowing descents. It takes you all over the forest. Right, so that's the general route, let's get to it. So coming out of the overflow car park, you just follow signs for the fire road and the start of the trail. So riding up past where the Freeminer single track used to begin, you continue a little further to the new start on the left. So here we go, start of the new Freeminers, 12 something kilometres, about 7.5 miles. Let's see how it is. This is a gentle uphill pedal with a couple of routes here and there, but not even 1 kilometre into this and you stumble upon the new advanced skills section. And I have to say, this is a huge improvement on the old jumps that used to be here. So before, this little section was halfway around the trail and it had a few little jumps on it, and it's been totally revamped with way more better looking jumps and a little drop line as well, so let's give them both a quick ride. So first, the line of drops. I have to say, for a skills area, these are relatively large, but a good test to see if you can handle the rest of the trail. But it's easy to go too fast and overshoot these, so for best results, adopt a more casual pace. Awesome. Right, back up to do the jumps. So the jump line, they start off really small, about bike length, maybe less at the top. But by the time they get down here, that's actually quite a whopping great jump. And then there's a little, well, that's not quite a gap jump at the end there, but close to. Great progression jumps. And a good warm-up, because we're only 5 minutes into the trail at this point. The first couple of jumps were a bit sticky and muddy today, so they're riding a bit slow, but I guess they do get a lot of use. But it's these end two that are the really fun jumps. They were really nice actually, really nice. So nice in fact, that I had to have another couple of runs down. And honestly, who could blame me? Great fun. So I've just hit the jumps and things about 3 times, hit the drops a couple of times, and it's really easy to get stuck here enjoying yourself, forgetting that you've got another 11.5 kilometres to ride. So let's carry on with the trail. Carrying on up the trail, and you've got this short, fairly punchy climb up the hill. I've already ridden a couple of muddy trails today, so you can hear my gears aren't happy about this climb. Once on the fire road, you have another downhill section. So yes, this was part of the previous Freeminer iteration. It's a lengthy downhill that weaves all over the forest, making the most of the generous terrain. You have plenty of swooping berms and flowing corners, which in today's slippery conditions were a lot of fun. There's nothing too technical on this descent other than a few routes later on, so it's just a case of sitting back and enjoying it. There are more technical descents to come later, and even though it's a decent length, there are longer descent sections to come too. So on paper, this should shape up to be a pretty decent ride today. This is a good first descent because it isn't some crazy downhill. It has a nice selection of features to get you used to what you're going to see on the rest of the trail. And in the Forest of Dean, this always includes plenty of routes. Trust me, you're going to love routes by the end of the trail. Or absolutely hate them, either one. As I say, this is a pretty decent length, but it's nothing compared to the final descent on the trail. That one really is the cherry on the Freeminers cake, but we'll get to that in a bit. So the very last section of this descent flattens off as it gets down to the bottom of the hill, before a short plod to the fire ramp. So after this, the next section of trail joins up with the Blue Verderers trail, meaning that it's a bit more mellow. But it's a windy track back up the hillside again. This climb is pretty standard, meaning that it gets steep in places, but it doesn't last too long, and the climb doesn't have any technical elements to it. But like any good climb, you know there's a downhill section waiting for you at the top.
So already in the trail I'm absolutely covered in mud. My bike is covered, my water bottle's covered, my trousers and probably my back. But luckily I'm wearing my Shield trousers from Odyssey Activewear. I'm actually wearing the new Shield jacket as well, so connoisseurs of the channel would have noticed the new kit, but they're certainly doing their job of keeping me clean and dry.
Compared to the last descent, this is a bit more aggressive. It's much deeper and has plenty of routes to navigate, as all good Forest Dean trails do.
Oh, this is sloppy.
And yes, the winter conditions only compound the challenging nature of these technical elements. They make this a pretty rowdy descent all in all. Coming down to the bottom, you cross the fire road and have a small jump. It's about here where the old Freeminer trail turned off and the Freeminer extension trail continued. Well, this has now been incorporated into the new route of the Freeminer. This section undulates as the route weaves and bobs its way up and down a series of lumps and bumps. These are just flat corners, so you're not exactly hitting them fast. Well, not with all the slippery leaves all over the floor. This bit clearly hasn't changed at all from the old extension trail. This is a very natural trail, which means that the surface isn't hard packed with gravel. It's just left as a natural trail surface.
Man, this is sloppy.
Which again in this weather should make for some interesting riding.
So it's great that they've revamped this trail because, you know, modern mountain biking and of course the uptake of e-bikes means that people want bang for their buck on a trail. They don't mind climbing, but the climb's got to be worth it. It's important to remember that these red, blue, green, whatever trails are XCs, so cross-country trails, so they're not meant to be flat out downhills. But nowadays, yeah, people want bang for their buck.
It's great that this trail has been modernised. The first part is full of good downhill sections, some punchy climbs, and even an awesome jump section. Really exciting. This part of the trail, on the other hand...
Oh my lord. This is muddy. So this bit of the trail is, as I remember it from a few years back, it's just a bit of a slip and slide really. In the summer it may be different, but it's really, really sloppy in the winter. Pedally and sloppy. I mean, look at some of the stuff you're riding through. That's just a big cow pat, isn't it?
Yep, just an uphill cow pat.
My tyres are caked.
Luckily, I know a good cure for muddy tyres.
So we've got a little downhill coming in a second, I think. And my front tyre is covered in mud, which is just going to spray off as soon as I get up to any speed.
I can already see the mud spraying off, and yes, I definitely wish I hadn't left my front mudguard in the car. This is a long flowing section which swaps between these short casual descents and steady pedalling. It's actually a nice contrast to the pedalling of the previous section. It feels like a good natural trail that you find out in the woods somewhere, and it's easy to forget that you're actually riding a trail centre. And the pedally bits, well, you e-bikers are gonna love them. An e-bike would turn this pretty standard descent into something much more exciting, and would make the uphill muddy sections a whole lot easier too.
So wet.
I love riding natural trails, but when they're at a trail centre, getting high volumes of traffic all year round, they get pretty gross.
No way I was getting through that unscathed.
After a little pedal, this section continues across the fire road. This is a short, easy section of mixed descending, and it seems to be more rideable than the last couple of sections. It's pretty pleasant and it gently weaves its way through the forest, avoiding trees and tree stumps. This is the kind of section that'll be amazing in the summer months when you can ride it a bit faster with a bit more confidence. The trail continues to wind its way through the woods until it eventually meets up with the blue trail again. Both of these trails join forces and plod through the forests, slowly making their way uphill. And of course, once you're at the top, there's only one way down. So let's drop in. This is the long final descent of the new Freeminer trail. It has lots of different elements to it.
was in the wrong gear to start then.
The trail has some gradual flow, some steeper bits, a couple of jumps, some switchback berms, and it gets rowdy in places. This may be the final descent, but this is what I mean when I talked about getting bang for your buck. And of course, you have a few interesting sections to contend with.
Whoa! Slightly offline there.
The upper parts of this one are a little slower as you make your way towards the steeper downhill, but once you make it past all this, you descend the little rock garden, cross the fire road, and then you really start heading downhill. And for me, this is where the trail really starts to come alive, and gets a bit faster. Now, if you're someone who wants even more of this type of trail, there's more Freeminer to ride, called the Added Trail. This is an even bigger added loop that you can do that increases your mileage by taking you on a lot longer tour of the forest. If you're an XC hero or you've got plenty of battery on your e-bike, this is definitely a good option. Not saying that it can't be done on a normal bike, but perhaps do it on a day when time is not a factor, and take loads of snacks. So this section is part of the old trail, but it's now one of the better ones, and now it's connected to some more downhill all the way to the bottom of the hill by the car park. Once you start to emerge from the denser trees, the trail starts to weave around a lot more. This next section has been moulded into a series of sharp, twisty corners. These snaking berms are a nice contrast to the faster, straighter section we've just ridden, adding some welcome diversity into the descent. As you ride down here, you're actually riding right past the fun little skills area where we played at the start, but I wasn't really taking my eyes off the trail to look for. After the berms, you have a smoother, straighter piece of trail. This has got a couple of berms and an optional double to play. Now the trail may have flattened off a little bit, but you're not done yet. In the Forest of Dean, this can only mean one thing, and that's roots. Plenty of them. So far this whole descent has been pretty smooth, but all good things eventually come to an end. Before the trail is done with you, it needs to give you one last rattle. If this looks bumpy on camera, then you're right, it was. And with that, the Freeminer trail heads back to the fire road, and you're done. So there you have it, the all-new Freeminer trail. I have to say, the dig crews here and the Dean Trail volunteers do a stunning job of maintaining and organising these trails. Hats off to them. And a huge thank you to you guys for watching this video until the end. So remember to subscribe to the channel for more awesome content and hit that thumbs up button. Thanks for watching, I'll see you next time.